Now let's take a look at the top end of the screen. And you'll see here we have some buttons along the top. Fields, tables, breakpoints, watch points, calls, overview and settings. Now these buttons allow us to enter different modes of the ABAP debugger. And at the moment we are in fields mode. And this is the default mode when you start the ABAP debugger. To change the different modes, just click on the button. So for example, tables, breakpoints, watch points, and so on. So we'll stay with fields and just start to explain the buttons that you see just above those mode buttons. The first one we have is single step, and that's a shortcut key of F5. And what this allows us to do is go through our program line by line. So in essence, a single step at a time. So either press the F5 key or press the button, and you'll see that we are executing the program line by line. Now the next button we have is the execute button with a shortcut key of F6. And the execute button allows us to execute independent sections of code that our program may call. So for example, function module or forms. This option is very handy because if our program uses existing sections of code already created in an SAP system and we know them to be correct, then there's no need for us to actually debug them. We would just want to execute them and then carry on debugging our program to find out what the specific issue is in our code. And moving on, we have the return function. That's with a shortcut key of F7. Now the return function is somewhat of a life-saving function if you forget to use the F6 execute function. So for example, if we step by step go through the lines of our program and we use the F5 key to step into a working function module that may contain hundreds if not thousands of lines of code, well, because we know this function module already exists, it's probably the case that we don't want to debug it. So we don't want to be sat there pressing the F5 key going step by step until we finish that section of code and get returned to our program. So by pressing the F7 key, the return function, it allows you to execute all the remaining code within that specific function, and then you will be returned to the line of code within your program that calls that function. And once again, you can continue then going on debugging your own program. So remember the return function. It saves you an awful lot of time when you make that mistake of stepping into a function module that already works. The next option we come across is the continue option. And this has a shortcut key of F8. Now the continue option allows you to basically continue your program without going step by step, line by line. If I was to press this button now, which I will, you'll see the program zooms along and it executes the whole program and shows us the final results. So let me step back and get into the debugger again. Now it has one other function, which is, as well as zooming through the whole program, you can also get it to just zoom to the line of code where you place your cursor. So for example, I'll place the cursor here in this select statement, and if I press the F8 key, you'll see the execution has zoomed down to where the cursor was and then pauses there for us to then choose what to do. So we can go step by step, or press the zoom continue function again, and it completes the program.